Hey everyone, it's Joy Brooks from Email and Coffee. Today we're talking with Yanna-Torry Aspraki, who has quite a lot of experience in deliverability. I'd like her to tell us a little bit about herself. Go ahead, Yanna-Torry.
Hi, I'm Yanna-Torry. I'm a deliverability specialist and in charge of sales at Email Console. My big take over the world plan is to make deliverability and email information more accessible to most. We all know, as Email Geek said, we know a lot of things that other people might not believe we know about or don't believe what we have to say. So that's my big goal in life. Get all that information to everybody out there that's also not an email geek.
Yeah, so it's the technical, it's yet another technical part of email marketing, which marketing people tend to gloss over, especially when they're 15 feet underwater and it's panic time. They just, it's difficult. There are so many parts of it. Obviously, there's all the acronyms. There's DKIM, there's DMARC, there's, SPF. There's that part of the technical part. But, there's the more touchy-feely parts, like, spam complaints. And even there, people find that they're looking at their metrics, and they see whatever they see in their metrics, and they discount a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So can you speak a little bit to that and tell us a little bit how spam complaints work?
Of course, but if you don't stop me, I'm just going to keep going, okay?
Boy.
The biggest misconception when it comes to spam compliance is that if you're looking inside your email marketing tool like CakeMail, MailChimp, FlowMailer, you name it, they give you statistics. They give you the open rates, the click rates, the unsubscribes, and the spam complaint rate. And the biggest thing is that if they see that the percentage below 1% or it looks okay, that they don't need to do anything. And the issue there is that most of the mailbox providers, so we're talking about Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook, they don't give to anybody, or at least, they don't give it to anybody, the information of who clicked on spam. So you might see a spam complaint and you're assuming that your ESP is going to take that email, put it in the suppression list so that they ensure that you're not emailing them again. But if the mailbox providers don't offer that information, well, then the email marketing software also won't give you that information. So I know that I've sent emails to customers from my personal inbox. If the other side, somebody clicked on spam, we don't get that information. If I make a typo in the email, my inbox will, give me the information saying, hey, we couldn't deliver your email for XY reason, not possible, typo, so on. But with spam complaints, you have this assumption that, the ESP obviously knows they're tracking all this information, but they're not. If Google doesn't give you the information, you won't have it either. If Hotmail doesn't give you the information, you won't have it either. You might get a percentage, if you go check your Google Postmaster account, but you might not your tool might not necessarily have the information to tell you these 3 people clicked on spam, which would allow you to either, resegment your list, clean them off, and take them off your list. So it can be very stressful for deliverability specialists at the beginning when I was talking to people and I was trying to explain to them like, well, low spam complaints is good. Of course we want low spam complaints, but you don't have the full picture. So if you're having deliverability issues and your spam complaints are low, it doesn't mean that there aren't more spam complaints you don't know about. It can be very stressful. People have this tendency to not believe stuff. It's not a religion. We're talking about IT stuff. If this is how it works, this is how it works. It's a computer, right? All rules.
You go into your Google, you can get a Google Postmaster account and you can take a look in there, but I don't think that most people do. So
yeah.
What's the solution for that?
So we want to know, we have a relationship with every single inbox. So if you have, a huge list and people on your list are from Hotmail and then Google and Yahoo and, some use Amazon, AWS, you have a specific relationship with each one of these inboxes. Now, many inboxes will give you some Postmaster tools and they're like this information, it's combining information about your reputation and what that particular inbox thinks of you, because Google might love you and Hotmail might not. So you want to get as much information information from each one of these inboxes or mailbox providers. Google is going to give you a nice graph, 6 graphs actually. The most interesting ones, I guess, would be, you know, how many of the emails they have received using your domains that are authenticated. This might allow you to see that some of your emails are not authenticated. So coming from, I don't know, maybe a accounting tool you didn't think to authenticate, or it might be somebody else. You also get the spam complaints. So what you're going to get is a percentage of the volume that they received. They don't know what's happening in Microsoft. So if you send 100 emails to Gmail, the percentage is based on those emails, not on your whole list. And they'll also give you the IP reputation. So they're going to get these emails and they're coming from multiple IPs or the same ones if you own them. And they'll let you know what they think of those IPs as well. Sometimes you can get very lucky and they'll tell you which campaign actually created all these spam complaints. But some things need to be set up on the ESP side and so on. But if you have that information, it's really cool because you can realize that certain campaigns generate more spam complaints than others. Like we're thinking about airlines, if you Google some tickets, and then like I had to Google some tickets for Japan like 6 years ago, and I still keep getting like alerts every day. Do you want to go to Japan? Do you want to go to Japan? Do you want to go to Japan? It's like, man, I looked at it 6 years ago. I just wanted to know the price. Leave me alone. So those might generate more spam complaints, for example. So then the airline will be able to take action on it.
So, that's in the case where you'd want to have a deliverability specialist. Those two words, delivery and deliverability, sometimes get confused.
Yes, they do. Very, very, that's the whole thing, the whole aura of thinking we all understand how email works. Even as specialists, I feel like there's a lot of things we don't know. Because in terms of security, if we knew about it, then we just go around the security measures. So there's a lot of unknown to begin with so that it works correctly. Then there's the unknown of, it's a computer making decisions. Of course, we've taught it stuff over the years. It's still computer making decisions. And then you have the ESPs that are putting these numbers and these terms, and sometimes they're not the same. Like, is a group and a segment and a target audience the same thing? To us, we would assume it's the same. We're grouping people. But delivery and deliverability, woo, that is quite a big thing. Delivery is the amount of emails that were accepted by the inbox. Deliverability is if those emails went to the inbox and the promotions tab or any of the other tabs. If your email, if you have 10 people on your list, 2 of them are typos, your delivery is 80%. But if none of those emails landed in any of the tabs, inbox, promotions, they're all good for you, and they landed in spam, junk, or nowhere, then your deliverability is 0. Even if your delivery is 80%, it's not because the address exists that the person got the mail, right? There's a million and one things that could have happened. The mail was blown away. It was delivered at the wrong place. The mailbox was full. The person doesn't live there anymore. There's like a million reasons in like physical world of why something can happen, even if the postman did his job and put it where it's supposed to go. So same thing with email, just like a million times more complicated because you have to do with, what's happening currently, a lot with the corona and now with the loans. I know in America, we have so many scammers trying to scam people. Just 90% or like, it's a huge number. It's over 90% of emails sent in a day are spam. So it's way easier to compare your emails to those of spammers than to compare your emails to somebody who's not a spammer. It's just such a bigger pool of information when it comes to spam. So it doesn't take much for you to end up in the wrong place in the inbox. And like I love to say, all the marketing in the world is not going to save you if no one gets the email. We're always worrying about subject lines and open rates, but why don't we think about the receiving? And that's on the ESP side. Sometimes it's not really a blame game, but I think sometimes we need to educate people to use things better. You don't argue with your car salesman that he didn't tell you have to change the oil. It's something that I need to know every couple of kilometers or mileage. I need to change the oil. If I go to the garage and then my car doesn't work and I argue with the mechanic, like, what do you mean my car? The mechanic knows, change your oil and you'll be fine. It's the same thing with deliverability specialists or all the email geeks. Sometimes we're going to argue because we have a piece of information and other people don't. So I think it's a little bit on the email marketing software provider to kind of enforce or to create a flow to make people understand that certain things need to be done. That delivery is not the same thing as deliverability. We cannot prove that it's inboxing. I cannot prove it if I don't do tests. And even then the tests are are going to have to do with what's happening now. Maybe today everything's inboxing, tomorrow it's not. It's not because I did a test today that I know what's going to happen tomorrow. I think it's up to us, right, to educate and make the information more accessible, because people are going to make better decisions. And if they make better decisions, we're all going to complain less about spammy emails or unsolicited emails or those, Walmart emails that come 3 times a day. I don't know how many times they think I'm going to go to Walmart in a day, but 3 times is not going to happen.
Some of the problems though that I see, right, is that when, even in ESP, it could be your agency, it could be your, your brand advisor, your CMO, but when you're basically told that, did you purchase the list, or are these your customers, where'd you get these names? And people on the other side will, for whatever reason, swear they're my customers, they're my customers, they're my customers. And at some point in time, when the ISP comes back, when Google comes back, or when Microsoft comes back and says, oh, guess what? We just shut you down because we've got too many complaints. And the marketing person says, well, how did this happen? Why didn't you tell me?
It's not their job to tell you, right?
Yeah, this is when it's like, we've told you that the list needs to be yours. These are the results of the list is not yours. You did purchase this list, or it's a partner list. In other words, okay, you're dealing with a very close partner that has shared their list with you, but it's not your list. You may be kissing cousins, but it's not your list. And at some point in time, that I'm not saying it's going to happen immediately, although it probably will. At some point in time, you keep sending to that list, it's going to happen.
It's definitely going to happen, and it's been happening. The inboxes and the mailbox providers are updating their spam filters continuously. And the more we do like tricks and hack growth stuff, the more we teach the spam filters to figure it out that we're doing it right. Like lately, Google has been the big thing. People are having a hard time inboxing with Google, especially in the affiliate marketing world, where people are signing up to with an iPad and they start receiving other stuff, because it's very obvious to the inboxes as these people don't know why they're getting the emails, or they're not expecting the emails. And we tend to forget that it's not because we sent an email that people are going to get it. It's something that I've had to repeat so much. And I've been in the industry for a little bit less than 10 years. I cannot imagine everybody else has been doing this for 20 or like 15 years, at the beginning where IPs were the thing, and then it moved to domains and content. But it's just crazy to me that this assumption is still around. Like, of course, if I send an email, the other person's going to get it. Based on what information do we make that do we have this thought process? Just because between us, if we send emails between each other, like you always get it, right? Sometimes it might go to spam, but we just kind of ignore, like that doesn't happen to us. And I don't get the feeling. I don't get why we feel that way, that we have so much confidence that it's MailChimp's job to do it, or FlowMailer's job to do it. And if the emails on inbox, it's their fault. That's something as well. Like as a deliverability specialist, we were sometimes told, well, okay, we'll just move tools. We'll like migrate around.
Right.
Do you think they're not going to catch you? It's the same domain. It's the same content. It's the same list. Same people are going to complain. Why you think that, Cake Mail is the problem? They have a team that's just specializing in email. They probably, logically have more information than the marketers or, the companies themselves. And you're going to blame the ESP as the issue? Of course things happen, but 99.9% of the time and 99% of the time, if something happens, it's like singularly that one time, the system was down, or, somebody abused the system for 5 seconds, and then the company immediately caught it.
Right.
If you're having deliverability issues, especially this year, it's on you. Cake Mail has an amazing reputation with the ISP. Spamhaus knows them. They know that they're following the rules, that they're forcing customers to have, consent with their list. MailChimp and Cake Mail are not the issue. It's the sender. You need to change something. And if the inbox is, oh, go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what types of tools can people use to, aside from taking a look to see delivery when it goes out? That's the first thing.
Yeah, because delivery is just your whole list minus the bounces. Right. That is what delivery is. And it's funny to me because you can see those numbers. And I never understood why people didn't do the math. If your delivery rate is 99% and your bounce rate is 1%, and then one day it's 98.2 and then it's 1.8, I don't understand why people didn't do the math that bounces plus delivery is 100% of your list. Anywho, so the Google Postmaster information is great. It's free, but you do have to have a minimum amount of volume. You can't just be sending 2 emails a day. You're not important enough for them to give you any data. But then on the flip side, if you're a very bad actor, Google can decide not to give you the information, even if you have enough volume, because they don't want you to figure out the patterns you need to go around of how they make decisions. The other one would be SNDS. You do need to have your own dedicated IPs. They care, that's how they're tracking things.
And that's Microsoft's, correct?
Yes, this is Microsoft, the Outlook, Microsoft Office, anything Outlook, Hotmail related. But they're free tools. I know mail.ru gives you information as well, Postmaster tools. You can Google Postmaster, and hopefully people are gonna be interested enough to like deep dive and like twirl into how things work, because understanding how they're tracking the information can, or depending on, like, Google's gonna give you information based on the domain. So you can kind of think, okay, how does Google make decisions? The domain is a good start. If that's the information they're giving us, probably that's what they care about, or that's where they're starting to look. Microsoft is looking at IPs. Not that they don't care about the domain, of course they do, but that's how they track and give us information. So that you can kind of like logically assume how they're making decisions, what is going to affect their decision making. Another thing, of course, is buy my product. we do give.
There you go.
There's a little, push in there. Email console. When I was young, because I'm so old now, I didn't have the budget to buy certain deliverability tools that were out there. And as a deliverability specialist who wanted to go on alone in the world and do consulting, it was difficult for me to be able to afford these very expensive tools that kind of aggregated information that you can find yourself. If you know how to use the terminal, most of the deliverability information, you can just go do a dig and find it yourself. But of course, we need a front end. We want things to be easier. So I've been working on it with my partners, Alex and Sergey Sirkin, to create something that is accessible so that everybody can use in terms of deliverability specialists all the way to marketers. Things like seed listing tests, very interesting. The tool, my tool, Glock apps or Glock apps or however you name it, will give you a list of email addresses you sent to them as if they were normal customers, and we'll let you know, did the email line in the inbox, in the promotion, spam, did we not get it? Checking if you're authenticated. And the authentication always scares people. If you know how to set up your Wix account with your domain, you know how to set up authentication. It's just copy pasting. But if you don't know how to do it, or you don't feel comfortable doing it, contact your ESP or your email marketing service provider, your Cake Mails and your MailChimps of the world. They will help you out. And then if they cannot help you out because sometimes you don't want to give them access to stuff, or they cannot get on a call, ask them for the data and then go to your hosting provider and be like, hello, please implement this.
Right.
And they'll do it. They'll do it for free. Of course, they want to help you. And the moment you're set up, it also helps them, because if you're a good sender and you're securing things and making the world a safer place, the inboxes will not penalize you. They will actually like it. They'll be able to make the difference between you and somebody else. Are you really the owner of that domain? If I'm not mistaken, Matthew Van Hood and Spam House wrote about this recently on Twitter and on their websites. Most businesses get their domain names spoofed. We're not talking about Apple and like the PayPal spoofed emails or phishing scams. We're talking about the regular people like me who just keeps buying domains because I have ideas. Those domains can get spoofed and they can be abused. And because I don't send emails with them, I might not notice that I have an issue or that somebody's pretending to be me. So all these authentication measures, of course, it sounds super technical and super complex. It's not. If you know how to copy paste and you know how to log in, your password, you're good to go. It's important because the people that we're going to go use the domain is the people who don't email and who have perfect stellar reputation or don't have any reputation. So it's up for the grabs, taking ruin. We always think that we're too small of a business. Like, who cares about my domain? Like, who's going to spoof Yanna-Torry.com? How does even one come up and find my domain to begin with?
They're running. They're just running the gamut. Yeah. That's all they do. It's just like phone calls when you get a phone call from the company that asks you, we're calling from Microsoft. Your computer's broken. How do they get my phone number? They even know my name. How do they do that? because
Crush and burn.
yeah, you know, they're hacking into systems, and that's what they're doing.
That's their
what they
job,
do
right?
for a living. That's what they do all day long, you know? Say
Yeah.
to yourself, hey, get a real job. You're probably very smart. Why can't you do something, you know, like good for the world? But this is what they
Makes
you know,
good money because people don't, we always think, oh, the technical stuff, oh, the technical. No one, I'm not asking people to know what I know or what people who have more knowledge know. You just need to understand. You might not know how to fix your car, but you understand how it runs. You have this like logical thing. You have to change the wiper fluids. You need to change the oil. You shouldn't go really quick on a speed bump. We don't really necessarily understand the mathematics of what happens to your suspension, but we kind of understand what we can or cannot do with a car. Same thing with email. You don't need to understand the logistics. I mean, I would prefer you just hire me, right? Or you hire another deliverability specialist, but you need to understand the game. If you think you're the king of the world, the queen of the world, and you're never going to get caught because your mattress store is the most interesting mattress store on the planet, trust me, if you try to sell me another mattress and I bought one, I'm going to get angry. Like it's just, there's human nature. There's technology that can make mistakes. There's the fact that you don't know what people are doing aside. And even if the whole world decided tomorrow to like bippity boppity boop, everybody sends amazing emails to the right people at the right time, no spam, authentication, we would still not have the time to read all our marketing emails. It's just normal. Even if we reduce drastically, I will not go see that Walmart email once a month. Unless the subject line is like right now, tip top shape of what I was looking for at that particular time in the day when I was in the, I don't know, waiting at McDonald's, I'm not going to open the email, even if it's the perfect email for me. It's just, we forget that email is a great way. Of course, it's one of the best ways to communicate, but it's not the only way. Your biggest fans don't necessarily need to open your emails or receive your emails. Your biggest fans will remember you, and there's other touch points. The whole point is you use everything together, not just, you know, one email a day because it's easy, copy paste the content, let's go. It's funny. I think it's funny sometimes because when we talk about it with customers, they're like, oh yeah, it's logical. It's like, yeah, it is. Like, do you want emails all the time? I don't want emails. And, you know, people, I have this story from Tom Blyleven from Flowmailer. He was explaining to his, I think, don't murder me if I paraphrase, but he was explaining to his neighbor what his job was, right? Because people don't understand what we do. And he explained it correctly. He you know, he went through email and spam and deliverability and, you know, what Flowmailer does. And the whole gist, what the guy understood was like, oh, so you're the reason I get spam. That was it. It just ended there. Like the whole conversation to explain something, or misconceptions are so strongly ingrained sometimes that no matter how much people are explaining things to us, we just like whoop, it goes over. I'm like, oh, okay, so you're spam.
Yeah.
No, I don't spam.
You know, the term spam itself. So, you know, I've had conversations with clients where, again, I'm gonna get back to the list because it's the thorn in my side. And I'll say in the beginning of the conversation, where'd you get your list? And they'll say, oh, these are my customers. And I'm like, okay, these are your customers. Okay. So where'd you get your list? You know, is it opted in? Did you get it, you know, through an opt-in type of functionality, or is it in your inbox, your Outlook inbox? You know, what do you mean by they're your customers? Oh, well, they're my customers for over the years. So they don't answer the question, right? They don't answer the question. And then I say, well, here's the thing. If they're not opted in, and if they haven't seen, touched, been in any kind of a relationship with your brand in the past month or so, you're going to get perceived as sending spam. Well, I'm not sending spam. I'm like, excuse me. If you do not have a relationship with this customer, you can probably get past the first email to reintroduce the brand or the message or the service. And that's okay. But after that, if they don't recognize who you are, you're spam. I'm sorry. They have not opted in. They didn't sign up anywhere. They didn't see you at a conference. They didn't shake your hand. They didn't exchange a business card. They didn't go to your website. They don't know who you are. That relationship in email is spam. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people think of spam, unfortunately, as that Bank of America email.
Yeah, the scams.
Right, that's trying to, steal their information. That's spam, but that's
Spoofing,
wildly
phishing,
illegal
yeah,
phishing, wildly
yeah.
illegal spam. And that can get you in a heck of a lot of trouble. The other type of spam is essentially the relationship that never existed,
Hmm.
you know,
Of course.
that you swear you have, you know, on your dying day. Oh, no, these people know me. Like, you think that your brand is the only thing that's going on in their head today, tomorrow,
Yeah,
the next day.
of
If
course.
they go to bed at night and they're like, wow, this brand I have,
Walmart is amazing. So many pharmacy emails. You're so right. And it's so funny because I don't know about, like, I'm an email and I should love, and I subscribe a lot to things because I want to see what people are doing, and I get annoyed. I mean, I don't send emails and I have to repeat to people that I don't send the emails. I just make sure people get them. But I hate my inboxes. I have so many inboxes because throughout time, I just like accumulated things I was looking at, or, I was doing research. I want to see what my friends are doing, what companies are doing. But I get annoyed. Don't you get annoyed? I don't understand why when we're like a normal citizen, we're like, oh, screw all these emails. And then you go to work and you're like, you know what my great idea is? I'm going to send an email to everyone. Like, why? And we spend so much time creating sometimes like these really long emails because we want to make sure that everybody has all the information. If you have the time to write all this content, which I do not, and I should be sending more campaigns to my subscribers, why don't you just take each part, like you wrote it, just take the part, be logical with your time, and
and
make these
consider it
easy
with your
templates.
audience.
Yeah, and then just go, you get this part, and you get this part, and you get this part, and you get this part. And another thing we forget, email is a way to get people to do something. It's just there in the middle. So if you have an 100% open rate and 0 sales, how successful is your campaign? Not at all. So please, it's to get them, one step closer to getting them to do something. So 55 call to actions or information, or 35 pages of text is not going to help you. It wouldn't help me. I don't even have the time to read it. My mom would definitely not read what I write if I ever created any campaigns. And if she doesn't care about what I'm saying, no one else will. So it's so many my customers, so many brands that have these like huge emails.
Yeah.
And we don't need to, I'm not talking about the complicated automation. Of course you need budget, you need time, you need tools, just logic. It's just a little bit of logic.
Yeah, the story concept of emails, which I'm not against. It's a great,
Of course.
it's a great concept to say, okay, what am I going to do with my emails? Oh, let's tell a story, but let's not tell, an entire epic story. The story should not be any longer than a paragraph with a call to action. And if you're just trying to be top of mind, then 2 paragraphs. Even that is too much. If all you're trying to do is to get people to buzz about your brand, if that's all you're trying to do, that there's no call to action, there's nothing to buy, there's nothing going on, all you're trying to do is to get people to talk about Kleenex, right? Then, if you send them a story that's, I don't know, one sentence per paragraph with 50 sentences, I'm sorry, you lost me in the 3rd sentence.
Yeah, who has the time?
I don't have time.
I don't have the time at all. And like, what is it? I don't remember what the average was. I was reading a report. I think like the average people send an email is like 3 seconds. How much can you, like, I can read fairly quickly, and I do the diagonal thing.
It's really less than that. And, sometimes in the business, sometimes I'll actually take a look at some of these emails that I'm getting that are long, and I'll start reading them, and sometimes I'm like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. Now, if I really had time, this is a good one. And then, but most of them, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Are you telling me a story about your underwear? I don't care.
Yeah, unless I love your brand, or your, I don't know, the Kim Kardashian of underwear or something, and I care about your private life as well as your brand, I'll go on social media and check it as well. There's other ways to remind people we exist.
If I don't need underwear, if it's not that time of the year, Your brand could be.
Spring cleaning is coming up, guys.
Yeah,
Now's the
your
time to
brand-
send those emails.
the thing is, we are talking about engagement. So the thing is, there's cyclical shopping. There is top of mind. There are a lot of things that have different implications and different strategies. So, some companies will say, I am just sending top of mind and it's really important because, okay, all right, I'm not going to argue with you because honestly, top of mind is important, but you just have to have a strategy for that email. It just can't be, let's tell them everything we're doing and keep everyone top of mind. That's a newspaper. People don't need that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is purchasing things, like you said, I bought a mattress. I don't buy a mattress every month. Odds are I probably won't buy another mattress for 5 years. Now you could send me sheets and pillowcases,
take care of the mattress. Drop wine. How do I clean it?
Yeah, send me other things. So take me off of the main list. And if you don't have any other product, take me off the list. Send me once every 3 months. I don't know. Yeah. Or just send me something really short.
Return policies, reviews, contests, take a picture with your mattress or whatever, there's so much you can get a response. And if the point is to just remind people you exist, make your emails shorter. And we're talking about marketing and thing, but that's what deliverability is based on. And now I hope I'm going to get the quote right. Radek from Usebancer said, deliverability is all about respect and love. I hope it's the right 2 words. And that's what it is. All the rules we're creating in order to minimize spam, to keep the inboxes clean, is all about that the businesses are unable to have a good relationship with their customers because they want to sell like it's 1950 and there's like one brand and that's all we're going to sell, and one message for all. We're 2022. There's machines and smarter machines than all of us that obviously can make mistakes, that are making decisions. So the marketing, the engagement, the content, everything together mixed is what's going to make your email either deliver in the inbox or not. And it's extremely important to understand that, of course, we always sound so mean. Clean your list, reduce this, authenticate, don't do this, don't send emails. It's all these things that we shouldn't do. But they're all based on like human behavior. And that's what it is. If the company is unable, or the businesses that are marketing are unable to control themselves, a machine is going to do it for you. And they are doing it. And as time progresses, the more intelligent and the more quick they're getting, and the better they are at differentiating. And spam, like you said at the beginning, is not scams or phishing. Spam is just that eye roll feeling you have. You open your inbox, you're like, ugh, the pharmacy again, Walmart again. Wish was sending so many emails at some point. It's just, that's what they're trying to stop. The marketer is not the customer. The subscriber is the customer of the mailbox provider. So they don't care about your brand. Of course, they want to make sure that people get your emails, if you're legitimate, but that's it. That's where the relationship stops. Gmail wants to make Yanna-Torry happy in her inbox. If she doesn't like your emails or she reports you as spam, Gmail is going to have to make a decision of what emails I'm going to get and what I'm not going to get. And I trust me or trust anybody else who says the same thing. Anybody, they will be able to penalize you way better. As time progresses, they're going to get better and better and better. And not by better slowly, it's just like exponentially better.
Yeah.
And people are feeling it this year. I hope, like that was my prediction for 2022, that people would notice that deliverability is something they don't understand and that they would start looking into. There's too many red flags, I think, on marketers' minds. Apple started with their open rates.
Yeah.
And like, how many years have we been saying that open rates are great, they have to be consistent, but they're not the only metric of success. We've been saying it for years. And then Apple decides to say something and then, oh my God, open rates. We've been saying it for years. We didn't start last September. For years, I've been arguing with people, and people are talking, I'm young, and they're trying to use it. You don't know, I have experience. So, okay, you let me know. Give me your money when you have deliverability issues.
Some companies
it's so easy to take care of.
Yeah, some companies are sophisticated, so they'll know, and there'll be a conversation between sales and marketing whereby marketing, you're doing the right thing. Here's the information, here's sales. This email went out on this day, and here are all the sales that can be attributed to that email. And there's some companies that do this, and that's
Of
wonderful.
course.
But there are
Yeah.
those companies where literally sales and marketing are mortal enemies for whatever reason, And that's a very dangerous situation, because that's when all of your channels are working for nothing, because sales is not telling you what's working and what's not. Whereby now, email and social and website, they're all fighting each other because they don't know what's working. And sales is walking around saying, we made all these sales. Look what we did. We made all these sales. They're not attributing them back to social or email or the website or the conference or anything. They're just saying, I did them. I'm a salesman. I did them.
Of course, but we're paying all these marketers for no reason. They're just there to, we're just giving jobs away. It's like an ecosystem. Everything has to work for it to work well. And there's nothing more disappointing, when you have like these marketers that realize that there's maybe something technical that's not working, but they can't put their finger on it because they don't have the information that we have, or not even in terms of information, they don't know what path to go investigate in. Because we assume that you send an email, people get it. Then they're thinking that the issue is, my marketing. I don't have the right subject line. I don't have the right content. I'm not a million things. And it's like, no one got your email. No one's ever starts the thought process with, you know what, let me check if Google loves me first. Do my customers like my emails? We're thinking immediately, okay, we need to change the colors. We need to change the brand. We need to change the messaging. We need to change the tone. There's other things we can think about when it comes to email. When you're doing Instagram, you're thinking about so many things, and you're thinking with the mind of, what is the Instagram algorithm going to do with my pictures? Is today the right moment to talk about this? Is that the right time? Is it the right people? Is it the right image? Is the right? And then we're like, oh, email, of course they're going to accept it. It's the same thing. You have to think about the technology as well to make better marketing decisions. It's very disappointing to have, I have a lot of friends that are specialists. Oh my God, they're the best marketers in the world. And you see them almost at tears that no one's getting their emails. These people, they're working hundreds of hours to create these amazing AMP emails. And then they're like, oh, it was not worth to do AMP because people are not getting email, which, depending on your business, you should or should not use AMP. That's another conversation. But if it is something you can use, like plane tickets or like airlines, hotels, AMP would help you. You have the all these cool things you can do, carousel and whatever. But what if they're working hundreds of hours to prove a point that this is really good for their customers, and then no one's getting the email? What are we blaming? We're blaming marketing. We're blaming the content writers. We're blaming the brand designers. And like, no, and it's so simple. If you're doing the right thing, you don't have to worry about deliverability. That's literally it. My job does not need to exist if people were just logical in the way they were marketing to customers. Not everybody needs the same message. Not everybody needs to be reminded. Not people need to know who you are. You can be the most, you can be Oprah. But if I never subscribe to your emails, I will not expect your emails. And if I get it, I might think, oh, maybe somebody's pretending to be her, or great, where the hell did she get my email? Where we're going to start these negative things. But if I'm the marketer, then people don't think that. Of course, they think the same thing. Whatever you feel, your subscribers feel as well. And deliverability is just creating the rules to make sure people stay in line. That's it. You don't have to worry about deliverability if everything is done correctly. In the off case that somebody's pretending to be you would even know if you have DMARC implemented, which you do once. You would have an idea of what is happening, and that's it. The inboxes care about relationship. You have a relationship with the mailbox. You need to have a relationship with the subscriber, and you just need to be logical. I don't think it's that, 90% of the issues.
Everybody wants to take the fastest route between, my
which is understandable.
And sales. They just want to go the fastest way. And somehow somebody told them that email is like the channel. So they think it's this miracle tool that works all by itself. You just throw an image in there and you send it to this huge list that you've been collecting since 1999, and you think, I'm gonna make a lot of sales, it's gonna happen. They just sit there and they don't do anything. There are no other channels, it's just email, and they just sit there and they don't understand that it's one of the channels, that it does work, it has rules. You can
What?
break them, and when you break the rules, you may not necessarily see it, but you'll feel it,
Oh,
and you
hell
won't
yeah.
understand it. And it may be, technical, it may be a filter, it may be, it may be your reputation, something can literally be riding along every single day, and one message, I don't know, you hire a new writer, one message goes, no, not so great. And then you don't necessarily see it. And it literally exponentially starts to happen. And you're thinking to yourself, well, we were doing really great before. And you're not looking at everything. You're not paying attention. You maybe don't have a deliverability person on your team. You just have a marketer. It can creep up on you.
Of course, it's one red flag too many, and then everything just slips over. And it's very annoying because it's not something you can just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go authenticate, done. Once you ruin your reputation, you need to continue doing that great work, knowing that people might not be receiving the email, just so that the ones that do receive it tip the scale by proving to the inbox that they care about your brand again. Holy moly, that means you don't know who's getting your message. Somebody else is deciding, just like when you're doing Facebook ads, you're like, I want women between this age and this age. You don't know what Facebook is doing this side. You hope that the profiles didn't lie about their age and that Facebook is marketing to the people that are lying, or the right person, the right place. You don't know what's happening. So you're doing the same thing with the inbox, where you're letting the inbox decide who will get a message, which ones they're going to get, because everybody acts differently in their inbox. And that's starting to become important as well. Somebody that doesn't take care of their inbox might receive more spam than somebody like me and you, who are very strict what we allow in certain of our inboxes. So you don't know what people are doing in the inbox. You don't know how their behavior is to begin with. And you want to give more power to a computer to make a decision. I don't get that. I want as much control as I can. And email is one of the ways I can have that. These are my customers. I know what they want. I can track them on my website. I can track what they're doing, their purchases, where I got their email, what they're doing. I really have a lot more information that is pertinent to my business than, just age, maybe. I mean, that's not always pertinent to all businesses. But then I want to give that power to Google and Hotmail. I want them to decide who gets my emails. Why would I ever want to do that? I want to make sure that everybody loves me, loves my brand, and it's all interconnected. If you have a bad domain or, bad standard reputation, it will affect other things that are related to your domain.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than getting an email in the inbox, but then you go to click on a link and it says, "Are you sure?" Am I sure? I don't know. Like, as a specialist, I know like email geeks, we can go check the, where the email came from. We know what to go look at to maybe make a better decision if this email is real or not. But if my customer, the normal, Jane and Joe, decide to open an email and they go to click on a link and Google tells you, hey, we don't know if this is safe. They don't know what to do. Like, I'm not gonna open the email, or they're gonna look at it and they're gonna not make so much.
That would give me a heart attack if that were my, domain.
I know. And what do you do? Who do you call?
Well, that is a blacklist right then and there. It's like you let it go to such a point where the police
said nuh-uh.
The police said no. Exactly. When you're at the point where Spam House is monitoring what you're doing, and for everybody who doesn't know that, it's literally now, you're on a list, Spam House, you're a Spam House list, or you're on some sort of a we don't call them blacklists anymore. What do we call them?
A block list.
Block list.
Blocking.
Yes, you're on a block list where it's just not getting through now. Now you're really not getting through.
Yeah, Microsoft is never going to accept your email until you're off of it, especially with Spam House. And what's really funny about block lists is that they're looking like, to be on a block list, you need to not be doing the minimum stuff you should be doing. That's literally it. Like, for example, the one people hate and happens the most is the DBL listing. Okay. So the domain block listing from Spam House. The only reason you would ever find yourself there, 99.999% is you sent to a spam trap. That means you bought a list. It has nothing to do with spam compliance. It's just, we know that you're emailing people who do not know you. Isn't that the most basic rule on the planet? So if you did it enough times, the spam house figured it out, you don't get to complain. You literally went into Walmart with 2 guns and said, give me your money, and you didn't put a mask on. You had no getaway car. You came by on foot. You don't even have a bag to take the money, put it in. It's just like the most minimum thing you should do. Email people who know you. Don't just go to LinkedIn and like scrape some emails. And I know in the US, we can do it, or it's like kind of legal as long as there's an unsubscribe. It's kind of a gray zone area, especially California doesn't allow you now. So I don't even know how people feel comfortable doing that, because you don't know where people are from. Exactly. But it's just, I don't know. It's the minimum thing. And people get so angry. Oh my God, I'm blocked here. Oh, let's check what block list you're in. Oh, because spam complaints. No, I don't have spam. They don't decide that. They had to have so many people complain to put you on like a spam complaint thing. And some of them don't even impact you as much unless you're in B2B. And then we are using the barracudas and the spam assassins. And then
yes.
Of course are not important for, like, Gmail is smart enough to make their own decision. They might take it as more of a, they'll look at it, they'll know about it, but they won't make a decision based on it. I've had some customers that are listed on Spam House and they're inboxing 100% on Google because they have high engagement. And the issue was their lists. They were buying lists, but they were, I don't know what they were doing. They're doing very well. But in the United States, we might be allowed to do it in a certain cases, but the spam filters are not different in the US. The inboxes want you to have a relationship. So of course, okay, the government lets you do it. The spam filters don't care.
Yeah, the spam filters.
So like that argument to me is just null. Yeah, but I'm allowed to do it. Yes,
you are.
You are.
You're allowed. Actually, essentially,
Nope.
you're allowed to do it until you get caught. So what?
Why do it?
Why do it?
And it's so much money. It is a lot of money, and
it's also
effort.
false expectations. It really is. Yeah. If you do have an old list, let's say you were the most successful salesman and you've gone rogue. You've taken your business offline. Those customers were yours. There's no legality there. You haven't stolen customers, but you've got an inbox, an Outlook inbox, or business cards, 1,500, 2,000, 5,000, 15,000, whatever it is. Essentially, a cold email allows you to touch them a few times, but the strategy is what's important. It's how you're going to go about it. So you want to make that initial touch. So you send out the campaign, you put them through some sort of a drip campaign. You're trying to figure out who out of these people that I used to do business with, who can I reconnect with?
Yeah.
So you've got to say to yourself, the strategy here is I've got 1,000 names. I can guarantee you that 100 are going to want to, have anything to do with me. And you've got to settle yourself with that and say, well, 100 better than nothing. If I had 100 active customers, that's not a bad thing. No, you don't have 1,000 active customers.
No.
You only have a certain percentage out of that. So you move on. And at some point in time, they are your customers, but it's work. It's work. Mm-hmm. And the point is, if it's not your list, if it is stale, stagnant, if it's a B2B company, it's so different than direct to consumer. It's completely different business. Completely different business.
Yeah.
Because the model is not based upon a tangible service or product. The model is based upon something that may happen once in a lifetime. You sell trains. Well, you may sell one train to one company, one plane to one company. It's such a different business. You're not going to buy, all right, you buy 15 planes, but But
do you need an email every day though? No.
No, the relationship, the mechanism, the way the whole conversion plays out is so different. So if somebody from e-commerce is telling you a B2B how to do work, you're speaking 2 different languages.
Mm-hmm.
And
And that's the easiest separation, the most obvious separation. There's so much. And
yes,
one of the exercises I like doing is being, okay, everybody, let's sit around a table. The whole world ended. All deliverability specialists, you know, got taken away by aliens. Somebody needs to create new spam filters. Give me some rules. So people are like, okay, I want to compare people's lists. I want to check engagement. Are people opening it for a long time or a little bit? Are they opening it and then they never open it again, which might indicate that, you know, you're doing some like, you know, what do you call it? Clickbait kind of subject lines. You know, we have amazing promotion, 2% off. Really? So people start creating these rules. Okay, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. We're going to compare lists. We're going to compare people. We're going to try and map industry types and then see, are the industry types, you know, doing the same thing between them? Can we create? They come up with all these rules. Okay, and then most of the time, the rules they create or they invent are things that they're doing the opposite of.
Right.
And like,
right.
Oh, so you would check and, you know, the complaint ratios. What is a good complaint ratio? Well, 1 out of 10 is a lot, but, you know, 10 people can be just one guy angry. What it maybe is 100 people out of 1,000 a lot? Oh, yeah, it's a lot. Okay, is 50 people out of 1,000 a lot? It's kind of a lot, isn't it? Okay, it's 20 people. And then you see it and like, oh shit, yeah, maybe. You're like, you have 1% spam complaints out of a list of 1 million. Do the math. Oh, well, I never think about it. On top of the fact that most spam complaints you don't even know about. So people tend to, if you do the reverse engineering, you may realize, oh, whoopsie daisies.
Yeah, you just created the rule that, you just created your own rule against what you're doing.
Yeah. And the inboxes are, they're computers. We fed them so many rules. Every time a spammer comes up with a trick that we can implement as a rule, we will implement the rule. Like unsubscribe links being the same color as the background. When the inboxes found out we were doing that, it was very easy. I mean, they read the code to show it to you. So to them, to compare the colors, at some point, you got to figure it out. And they're going to penalize you if the font's too tiny. It's not only going to penalize you because we can read the code. It's going to penalize you because people are not going to be able to find the button. And what's easier, click on that one big button at the top that says spam. There's so much that you can control and not control, and is based on human behavior and a computer deciding based on human decisions, that it's already complicated. Don't ever assume that the inbox is going to get your email. They're just not going to happen. There's too many variables that already make it difficult to make a good decision. Don't put a stick in your wheel and make it worse for yourself. Mm-hmm. It's you know, it's super, I think it's super interesting. And people should definitely know more about it. But it's that thing, you know, if my mom and my grandparents can send an email, how complicated can it possibly be? And that, I think, is the first crutch, you know, everybody's first crutch. So assuming that it's just so simple. Send an email, people get it.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Definitely isn't.
It is. There is a need for specialists like yourself.
No, all the email geeks know something specific.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I can tell, I can be pretty good to a point, and then I mean, you know, I can diagnose it, I can tell you what's going on, I could also warn you against when I feel that it's beginning to happen, but there are a bunch of tools that are not available because of the cost, or because if I were a deliverability specialist, I wouldn't be able to do anything else with my job, because once you do dive into that rabbit hole, there's a lot of information there, and it's applicable.
Oh, yeah. And it's also based on relationships. Who do you know? You don't just call Google and say, hey, why are you putting my emails in spam? That getting that information is so complex. Like as deliverability specialists, sometimes we ask each other, do you know somebody at that company?
Yeah.
Because we're thinking about the Googles and the Yahoos and the AOLs, but in Europe, or, you know, in South America, or even in the US, you need to be able to communicate when there's a problem with GMX or Yandex or Mail.ru or, you know, UKR, or what do you do?
Right.
Who do you contact? Who do you call? You don't just call the Italians, or you have to know somebody who worked there. And sometimes some ISPs don't really have a team of deliverability, so like Google, I mean, it's an army, right. But some smaller countries or some smaller inboxes might not have these things. Like we have like the La Poste in France or whatever. Not all of them are looking at authentication. One, because they can't handle the volume, they cannot handle the data. now Europe is trying to enforce that the inboxes have to look at it. There's all these like things that are happening in the world, that if you're aware or not aware of, it's not exactly going to make it or break it, as long as you're logical though. If you're emailing people with content they want, you're never going to have a problem. You're never going to have to talk to me. You're never going to have to check anything. And if you do have a problem, it's going to be outside. It's going to be somebody pretending to be you, or it's going to be something out of your control. And that's interesting for me to work on. But if you come to me and I have to tell you to clean your list,
Yeah, but
you don't need me for that.
I know, but honestly, every 6 months or so, depending on your business, you do some sort of an audit of your account. So,
Yes.
if you're not looking deep into your stats all the time, and if you're getting a little lazy and all you're basically saying is, oh, we made sales, so it's good, and let's, go to the next sale, let's go to the next email, let's go to the next campaign. But every 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, you should be looking at your list. You should be setting some sort of filter that will identify this segment as opposed to this segment. Separating your strategy to say, okay, this segment's going to get this segment's going to get that. But it does make sense to put your list through hygiene and also contact a deliverability specialist. Can you take a look at my account? Can you do an audit?
Yeah, just quick.
Real
Nothing
quick.
crazy.
Instead of waiting for that 5-year, I'm in spam house and I can't get off, where now it's I can't send anything. Don't wait that long. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it takes a long time to fix, just like a credit score. If you forget to pay your phone bill once, you're fine. You can get a loan, right? But if you're constantly not paying your things back, even if you, I don't know, won the lottery, your credit score is not going up tomorrow. Right. Even if you have to prove by showing that
now
you
need
changed.
a lawyer. Now you need a lawyer, and I wait to that point.
Yeah. It's a waste of time, and you don't know how long it's going to take. 3 months. Can you imagine working hard on campaigns for 3 months while everybody on Hotmail not getting them? I don't ever want to have to feel that experience of myself,
with COVID, especially with COVID, with everybody getting furloughed, literally people were in and out in a week.
Yeah.
They're working remote. They start a job. It's too much for them because it's remote and they just can't get a handle. And they're in the job. They get laid off. They get furloughed, or they get fired, or they leave. They quit because they just can't deal with it. So you've got email addresses that are so fluid now, where literally 2 months later, that email address does not apply.
Hello, heart bounces.
The churn is not happening 6 months a year. The churn is literally happening within 2 weeks. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And I don't see that necessarily changing, because business has essentially tasted remote. It works for many businesses. Now that way we work has impacted the whole chain, and email is part of that chain, whether it's B2B or it's e-commerce, because people do use their e-commerce email addresses to buy things. And that email address doesn't work anymore suddenly. Within 2 weeks, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You could be,
or even worse, it works because they have to keep the address, and then it just accumulates emails with zero engagement, which is just as bad.
Yeah,
because you don't even know.
Either they keep the address, or it's a catch-all, or it's
exactly.
It's info ad. It's one of those servers.
And you don't know, but the inbox knows. Google knows what you're doing. That you never stop. It's gonna give you time. Google. That's the thing. Block lists and mailbox providers, unless something is very apparent, they're not going to block you immediately. They're going to let you go for a while, saying, okay, well, the guy's not going to clean a list every week, of course. So they give you time. So you cannot complain.
Yeah, exactly.
They gave you 6 months, 2 years, 3 years. And everything you just said nullifies the argument of, well, I was doing it like that and I never had an issue.
Right.
People change, the industry changes, your customers change, your business changes, the marketing changes, the tone changes, the people working there change. Things need to change. Things are constantly changing. And if you don't want to change, that's fine. You're giving space to new businesses who are going to do it correctly to go in the inbox. That's all you're doing.
Yeah,
and
you're
you're
not
making
interrupting. They're just aware. You're not aware. They are. Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, I, I do tell people to go through hygiene, and now I'm gonna begin to tell people to go through hygiene and to contact Yanna-Torry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and list hygiene, it doesn't catch everything. People have the assumption that if you pass it through a list hygiene, that
Yes.
everything's clean. No, 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 no. The obvious heart bounces, the ones that are going to heart bounce first, are gone. Even the companies that say that they can check spam traps, new spam traps are being created every day.
Every
Like
day.
I have a list of spam traps that I know are spam traps because I kind of figured it out through time. Um, those are probably not even important anymore because a million new ones out there.
Mhm.
Don't ever think that list cleaning is going to be there. These are your customers and you do list cleaning, you're going to be fine because that's going to
Right.
remove the people that got fired, that left, that, I don't use all my inboxes and so on. List cleaning is about, software list cleaning, like with Bouncer. And it's also list cleaning as in these people don't care about my brand anymore. There's so many things you can do to get them back or, let them know, once a year, twice a year. You don't need to keep them there forever and ever and ever and ever. I mean,
Yeah, but
I
more is better. More is better.
no, it's not better. Your strategy sucks. That means because you're not
That's my
communicating.
strategy. More is better.
Yeah, it's
That
one
is my
message.
strategy.
If that worked, we'd all be a lot richer, wouldn't we?
Well, I'd say at least 50% of the marketers are still throwing it against the wall, and they figure,
Yeah.
I'll throw it against the wall for 2 years, and when it doesn't work, I'll stop. And then I'll figure.
Or I'll change email marketing service provider. I'll blame
Exactly.
Jim.
Exactly. I'll stop, and then I'll go to a new email service provider, and I'll keep doing the same stuff. And I figure, I'm making money, but unfortunately what you're doing is you're literally making the bare minimum money. If you do it the right way, you might be making a lot of money.
And you don't even know how much you're losing because you don't know what's happening to this side, and no one will tell you, not even me. I can give you an approximate maybe, but not in terms of money, because maybe more emails land in the inbox, but if it's the wrong message, you wouldn't have made more money either way, right? So many things you don't have control over, you don't know. And same thing with social media. I don't think we have this assumption that statistics and data is like all perfect and precise. It's not. Human behavior is not precise. Things happens. Like right now, the big scam or the big deliverability issue when it comes to words, which I don't truly believe that a spammy word is gonna put your email in the spam box. It can be an extra red flag that will make it, but right now is the PPP loans. Everybody's doing your taxes, right? And there's a lot of scams around the payroll protection program or plan or whatever it's called in the US. So a lot of the H&R blogs or accountants are having issues inboxing, and it's not because they did something bad. It's just that they're like medium bad, and that one extra red flag is making them it's creating issues right now.
It's a combination of things. It's running through an algorithm, and as you get flagged for this, oh, this one is a high scorecard.
Yeah,
bam,
there's a scam at the
you're
moment.
done, out, and then you start getting bounced.
Yeah, and this is just like one example of what could happen. There's so many things, and like every day, sometimes I have these people. I'm following people on LinkedIn, right, that are deliverability specialists or email or in security and compliance, and they explain stories of things that have happened to customers, and you're like, wow, like it's such a precise issue. If I had never read about it, I would have never known about it. I would have never thought about it either. So there's so much we don't know because scammers and spoofers and even regular business owners, we have these like tricks and these growth hacks and these things that we're using and we're doing and to get people to pay attention and do stuff. It's immeasurable. So a computer is making a decision. It's not like a human swiping on Tinder right and left, inbox spam, inbox spam. It's a computer making decisions on things we can't even imagine they're making decisions on.
Every filter is different.
On top of that too, isn't it complicated? Every way to communicate with somebody is different. Every inbox, Google, we tend to say they care about domain, and Microsoft about IPs. What does that say? You don't have control over most of IPs. If you are MailChimp, unless you're a huge enterprise account, you don't have your own IPs, you're sharing them. What does that mean for you? Do people understand? The first thing is understanding how the game is played. You can understand how Monopoly is played, and you're going to play better. You might not be the best Monopoly player, but at least you'll know how to play. And that's the first step. Other than not buying lists and authenticating your domain. That's the other first steps.
A security, somebody at a company who is leading the email department, the email admin security, whatever you want to call them, he's gonna set up rules and regulations of what email you're allowed to receive. So he's gonna create a filter, his own custom filter. They decide, in this company, no one gets any kind of marketing campaigns. Therefore, no ESP is getting through. None, zero. So you would never think that, Boeing, who's trying to do business with some sort of manufacturer, sending the information about how great Boeing is doing and what Boeing is doing with relation to that part that is getting manufactured so that they could do more business, it's not getting through because that company, that manufacturing company, their security has decided no marketing, nothing. Anything that's coming out of any ESP is getting caught at the spam filter.
Yeah.
So there's Barracuda, there's, but
So
then
many.
there's the email admin filter.
Yeah, which is just, I mean, that is a human, is the me
Right.
that works somewhere that was like, oh, we're getting scammed with this. I need to find a tool that's going to help me protect from this kind of scam or this kind of issue, and then implement it. And then that's it, the end.
The end.
I obviously cannot know about all the billions of businesses on the planet.
And you don't know.
And I make a harsh decision, and it's so funny. I think it's funny. Like the more we talk about this, and we keep coming up with like singular issues, right, here and there, and then there's so many we haven't even talked about today, and it's just like I don't understand why people don't say, maybe I should think twice before I make an evil decision. There's so much to think about, and
it's just these are things to consider when you are putting plans together. Not everybody's thinking of the worst case scenario, because that's not how you put a plan together. You don't put a plan together saying, okay, no risks. Let's just start that. We're not taking any risks. All right, so then what are you gonna do? So if obviously there's going to be some amount of risk, you wouldn't think that employing an ESP is a risk, but there is some amount of risk there because you're depending on their reputation, their pool of IPs, how they do business. You're depending on that. So, you go with MailChimp and you hope that that relationship works. It, for the most part, will, but that's the first risk you're taking. And it doesn't necessarily appear to be a risk, but it is. And like I said, companies generally don't think of the risks. They think of, this is what we're going to do. It will be a wild success. Everybody thinks it's going to be great. And not until it fails will people begin to think about risk management. And a mature company does think about risk management, and a mature company has some sort of check and balance between it. So it's not just email marketing that's doing anything. They have other departments that are doing sales or touching customers. So, there's basic stuff that goes on. I'd say that with a lot of the entrepreneurship or the solopreneur or the launch pads, a lot of companies are literally coming and going. Within the hour that we're speaking, 5 companies were probably born and 10 companies died. And that's really the way it should be. These are small companies and they don't always have all the tools to manage everything. And that's where the problems generally occur. The bigger companies hire you. They pay you, they retain you, you do it all the time. You're able to have a relationship with everyone that you should have. It's some of these smaller companies that, may not necessarily understand. And
but the best advice then is take a step back. Don't think about your sales. Don't think about the person you're contacting, and be honest with yourself. That would be enough, which is why I like the Redex thing so much. It's trust, it's about respect and love. That's it. If you got those 2 things coined, and I have to thank him for that one, it was a really good quote, you're good. You don't have to understand the logistics and the issues in there, because when you have one of those weird cases that we're talking about, somebody pretending to be you or like a technical issue, then you do need somebody like me or you or somebody who knows where to go look for information. But those things are rare. The bigger, most apparent issues are list buying, communicating with people you don't like, is the human factor. People complaining that, hey, I don't want your emails anymore, or they're too long, or I don't read them, or there's no engagement. Some people send emails and only a few people engage with it. You will be penalized over time. So just if everybody just took a step back, thought about it very logically, do I need to send this email? Is it clear? Is my goal clear? Is my goal clear to me? How do I measure success? Open rates? What if I made 0 sales? What if I'm a lawyer? How do I measure the success? Like how many divorces am I going to do to the same lady or, couple? Like 1, right? Like, do I need maybe to inform them of stuff? Maybe I need to segment people. Like, of course, we have the time limitations. We have so many things. There's the tools, there's the time, there's the content writing. Not everybody's a content writer. And sometimes as a business, we have to do our own emails, right? So just take a step back. Think about how you feel in your inbox, and then use that feeling and just apply it in your business, and you won't have any issues. If you need to authenticate your domain, I do it for free. I have a bunch of email geeks that signed up to help me. Just go to letsauthenticatetheworld.com, and an email geek is going to help you authenticate your domain. We don't sell you anything. All we want you to do is listen to us talk about email for 30 minutes as we authenticate your domain. And that's it. And you're good to go. That's the only technical thing you need to think about. We'll give you resources. We'll tell you where to start looking. We hope that you're going to be just as excited about email. That's the only thing that can be complicated and that people should think about. The rest, I think you can take a step back and logically assume what is okay, not okay, and marketing, you have to play around with your marketing. You need to play around with the rest of the things, timing, segmentation. Sometimes we don't think about things like I'm not the best marketer on the planet. I don't consider myself a marketer. And I have these people that are email geeks and they're really good at marketing. And they think of these crazy things that are super simple to implement, but I would have never thought to do it. How do I like very simple things like, how do I know if people are interested in, products for women? You go to Simon's, do they want skirts and, women's stuff, or do they want things for kids, or for men, or whatever, accessories? It's very easy. You can create these like chains of email. Well, very easy. You can create these chains of emails where you have all these categories. That's it. There's 5 call to actions, but they're technically targeted. So there's only 1. So if I click on the accessories all the time, I can start making the assumption that at this particular moment, that's what I'm interested in. Of course, 6 months later, I might not be interested in accessories, but right now, that's what I'm interested in. Oh, this person is always clicking on things for men. It might be me looking at Simon emails because my husband likes Simon stuff. Right. So I want to buy him a gift. So that is what I'm interested in. There's ways to get information from people. And the best advice I ever heard, if you don't know what people want, ask them.
Ask them.
We have this assumption, email is we send it and then no reply, right? We don't want replies back. The inboxes definitely want you to have a reply back. Can you imagine Walmart getting people to reply back? How amazing their engagement and their reputation would be if people reply back? Who replies back to a campaign? It would make you look amazing. You can ask for reviews, pictures. What do you like about my email? What don't you like? What do you want? People are obviously going to send emails, and a lot of people have very strong opinions. I hate your email. Stop emailing me. Other people are going to be like, this is useless. I've already had that. I was doing things for customers, and the customer just got an email, and he got like, oh my God. It's like, the word that the customer wrote was useless, and he just sent the email. And there's started a conversation. What is the problem? And then it's like, the content is too long. That was all. That was the problem. The content was too long, and then we weren't giving the customer what he wanted. That was it. Okay, she cut the emails down. Everybody was super happy. Engagement went up. And also you pay for the emails you send. Why are you paying for emails people are not going to read? It's a waste of money too. I mean, it's cheap. I get it. Email is very cheap.
Not anymore. It's beginning to get more and more expensive.
Yeah, I get it.
Models are all going up.
But still, like you're spending money. There's so many things. It's just like, why? Why the arguing with an email geek? Why are you so contrarian? Like, of course, like, I always find it funny.
Somebody told you could make millions. That's why. And
I know, but I can also make millions with Instagram.
You're not agreeing with that, then hey, you don't know your business.
I know. And it's like, no, you don't understand. I've been doing this in 1999. Of course, because spam filters in 1999 did it work the same way as now. What are you? Well, Exactly. You don't have a good follow-up. So please. And the best part about deliverability specialists, we're always seen, at least in my experience, we're seen as the bad guys sometimes. We're telling people what they cannot do. And
Yes.
all I'm doing is repeating what Google said. Google said, don't do this. And I turn around and I'm like, hey, don't do it. Oh, who are you? You don't know my business. No, I don't care about your business. I know what Google wants. And if you're sending emails to Google, you listen to Google's rule. I didn't invent them. I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what? That's the direction we're going in. My job is just to relay the information and be an investigator. That's it. I just investigate where the issue comes from. And then I tell you what mailbox provider says about you. The end. I'm repeating. I'm just the messenger.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Yes, please. I'm good. I love email. I think people should send more emails, just more emails,
Better emails.
Yeah.
So we've talked and chatted and yacked and, we could go
Complained
on
a little bit.
Yeah, really. We're gonna wind this up. Why don't you tell people how to connect with you or anything special going on?
The best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. I am on that 24/7. I also like talking with new email geeks. So if you're going to add me, I'm usually going to send you a message and say, hey, do you want to get on a call and talk? But beware, I will talk about email and deliverability a lot. And I will not stop if you don't tell me. If not, my partners and I are launching finally email console with a new branding. So it looks like it was made in the current decade. Ooh, that was a hard word to say at the moment. I know, it just went off in French there for a second. So our dream was to offer very accessible deliverability tools to every marketer out there, from the smallest business to the biggest ones out there. We do it all: DNSBL monitoring, seed listing, Google Postmaster integration, SNDS, help you with your authentication, consulting. It's really fun, and I hope you guys can see the passion that's oozing out of me for deliverability.
I do. I'm going to include all of your contact information at you, a little below the cut line, so that people can connect.
And we need people to test it, right? We want people to see how it helps them, because we want to give the information to non-deliverability specialists as well. It's great that I know this, but it's good that all the marketers and the regular people who might not have the budget for somebody like me to be working there, to be able to make the right decision, so they don't have to have somebody like me working there. That would make the email world better. The inboxes would have reduced amount of emails, better emails. The whole world would be happy. So definitely,
world.
Yeah, yes.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll meet up again sometime and yak a bit more.
Yes, of course. We'll catch up.
So that's been Email Marketing with Yanna-Torry and Joy Brooks. And happy email marketing, you all. Take care now.
A good one.